Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with the Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's your host, SteelFlyers.
Thank you. That is the delightful and lovely co-host RoNece. There's so much to get into and can hardly wait to get into it.
NHL Playoffs are in full swing, and we can get you all caught up on the upcoming second round.
The NFL draft has come and gone, and just what grade would the Steelers get from our crew?
Welcome to another great show, as we're super excited to get started.
And boy, are we really super excited, because this is the beginning of season two.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I had to do the special effects on my own. I did that with my mouth.
Thank you, Christopher Titus.
Yeah, I know, you didn't. Anyway. So we got a lot of stuff to get into, and thank you all for checking us out. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate Spreaker for all the great, wonderful help that they do and providing us with a great platform to be able to provide to you, our listeners, and our wonderful fans, all this great, wonderful content on all of those podcasting platforms, from Google to Amazon to iHeart to Apple. I mean, you name it. All you have to do is type in SteelFlyers, and you'll be able to find us on all the podcasting platforms.
Nice.
And yeah, it's great. It's awesome. So thanks to Spreaker for that and for being the host and all that. So we're going to get into it, and I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the very beginning of the second round of the NHL Playoffs.
Okay.
And we obviously don't have any Flyers information to talk about here on this one, so
it's a bit of a sore subject, I think.
Well, you know. Yeah, whatever. However, we are going to talk about the fact that just a quick little nod out there to the main man, Pots and Pans from the OMB Puckcast, who was 7-1 on his bracket.
Wow.
Right? I, too, was 7-1 on my bracket for
Nice.
opening round. Yeah. So, you know, that means we're probably doomed for the rest. But anyway, you know.
Hey, at least you did it once.
That's right. You know, we got a couple of points out of that. But anyway. Anyway, so second round, let's start with the West first, okay? Okay, so Colorado swept Nashville. I mean, they didn't have their starting goaltender, so that was pretty much
They're kind of a big kink in the chain, right?
Yeah. I mean, Sutter from Calgary said it best. It was a waste of 8 days, and basically it was, because it was 4 games and 4 wins, and Colorado's moving on.
Just as everyone expected.
Yes. Obviously, with starting goaltender out with Nashville, they had no really, it was just sad. But well, at least they tried. St. Louis barely beat Minnesota. I mean, that was a tough, grinding.
Did they go all 7 games for that one?
Yeah. And so that was a tough series there, too. So that was awesome to watch that. So now we're going to have Colorado versus St. Louis. Okay. And then the other second round playoff matchup is the Battle of Alberta.
Which is very exciting.
Very, very exciting for the Perlo and for the Peyton on the radio, because you guys are moving on to the second round.
Wow.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the Edmonton Oilers are moving on to the second round, and all it took was a firing of Coach Dave Tippett, who is available.
And I'm sure the Flyers are looking at him.
Right, but they brought in Mr. Lovecroft, and man, I'll tell you what, boy, that team has turned it around. He's gotten them to the second round. I mean,
wow.
I don't think if they would not have fired Dave Tippett,
right,
I don't think they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think they would have, because they were on the slide going down.
Okay.
Right? They had lost...
I thought that's what I remember.
Multiple games in a row, and man, dude just came back and just, all right, no, we're not losing much anymore now. So, it's all good.
Shows the difference a coach can make, huh?
I mean, and using players in a correct manner and putting together a system that makes sense and or whatever the case is, and uses those players' abilities to a positive instead of just trying to stack them up and throw them out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Calgary versus Edmonton in the Battle of Alberta for the second round of the playoffs, and then Colorado versus St. Louis. And those are the two Western matchups. The Eastern matchups.
This is the one that you're interested in most, I think.
Well, I actually, I'll get to my bracket here in a minute. But we got from the East, Florida wins over the Capitals.
That was touch and go there for a few minutes.
Man, I was sweating bullets on that one, boy, let me tell you. What do you mean you can't beat the Capitals? Come on. No, I mean, it's the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed.
Right,
What? Come on.
Well, didn't Florida lose somebody? I thought, wasn't there a player that was like...
So they had lost Ekblad for most of the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And he was able to come back for the playoffs. Right when the playoffs started, he was able to come back. And he made a huge impact right away. And I think he was one of the main reasons. And I also, look, I'm not trying to be a homer or anything, but when you look at that series, everybody's like, oh, the grade 8. Well, I don't think the grade 8 got more than like 3 or 4 points.
Oh, yeah?
In those 7 games, right?
Okay.
So that's not really the grade 8. Okay?
I mean, you have to give it to him. He is a good player.
I'm not taking away from the fact that he's going to probably go down as probably one of the best all-time scorers.
Okay.
Okay, for being the age that he is and still cranking off 50 goals, I mean, hey, man.
I mean, he's doing commercials now, too, so.
Hats off to you, right? Finally. It's funny how he can speak much clearer English in the commercials, but then when you got the microphone in front of him during the game, it's like you can barely understand what he's saying. It's like, all right.
The difference a second take can make.
Yeah, the second take. Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. But Tampa Bay squeaking it out, too, was another one that was a little bit... I picked Toronto. That's where I lost on my bracket.
Okay.
So I picked Toronto over Tampa Bay. Okay. I just didn't think Tampa Bay were going to be able to flip the switch again. And, all right, I was wrong.
This is their 3rd time in a row now?
Of flipping the switch and kind of limping into the playoffs and then getting to the playoffs and then going click. Oh, what? Playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah. And off they go, and it's like, all right. And so they were able to, handle Toronto there. And I'll tell you what, Toronto, I mean, what is it with that team?
I don't know.
It's like they're good enough to win a lot of games in the regular season. They're good enough to get to the first round, and then
I know another team like that.
And then they don't get out of the first round. Well, at least they're making the first round.
Well, that's true.
Okay, I mean, you got, as long as you make it to the dance, that's a shot.
Right.
You start off at 0-0-0.
Okay.
Right? Oh, so you got to make it to the dance in order to,
Right.
Okay. So if you're not making it to the dance, then don't talk to me. All Flyers. Repeatedly not making the dance. So then the other game...
We're not bitter or anything.
It's not bitter. It's just the fact that when you look at an organization and have potential ideas of how they... I mean, look, we're all basically just armchair GMs and armchair owners and armchair GMs, okay? But it's another thing when you've spent the last 2 years utterly ultra analyzing this team from every angle possible Corsi numbers and, looking at their analytics and looking at how the management is handling things and looking at the deals that they're making and looking at where their cap space is. And, when you take off the fan glasses,
yeah,
then you start to see what the real ugliness is.
But you'll still always be a
Flyers fan always, all day long, you know what I mean? Carolina, I picked them to win. I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous in the soivus in that one, boy. That was Carolina, they played, that was a tough set of games there for Carolina and Boston.
I know. Because,
man, Boston played good, and they were even missing, McAvoy was out a game or two, and and I think they were missing Pasternak for a game or something, and Marchand got suspended or something like that, and was missed a game or two, and so I mean, it's not like Boston had a full complement,
right? But they still tried. I mean, they still did really well.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough, and Carolina was able to take care of business. Clearly, in the New York Ranger-Pittsburgh series, the missing of Crosby and then Crosby not really being Crosby in the final game when they needed him, and then, frankly, I thought it was a mistake for them to even have him playing. But at any rate, because he was diagnosed with a concussion, so yeah.
Is that why he was out? Okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah. At least that's what I've read, from NHL, and
right.
That he was actually diagnosed with a concussion, and that's why he missed Game 6, and was probably should have missed that Game 2, I think. Especially with his history of concussions and missing games and everything. I probably would have erred on the side of caution. But, I guess it is what it is. And as it is now, Pittsburgh is out for the remainder of the season playing golf now with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And the New York Rangers
There's beautiful golf courses in Pennsylvania.
Yes, there are. Yeah. There's beautiful golf courses in Pennsylvania. As our teams from Philadelphia know all too well what those golf courses are.
Yeah.
Because they're on them already and have been for weeks. Anyway. Was a little nervous about that one too. I did pick New York over Pittsburgh. I felt that Shesterkin would be the difference, and he was.
Yeah.
He clearly was. There were nights when New York didn't play very well in front of him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he clearly was a level above everybody else out there on the ice. Okay. So, I mean, that clearly was the difference.
He's the one who kind of carried him?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, through that series. And he's really going to need some help because Carolina is one of the best defensive teams. And they're just going to, they're not going to take any snot from New York. And they're just going to plaster them all over the boards because they're one of the hittingest teams. Florida is too. So is Tampa Bay. So we got the Battle of Alberta rolling off in the West, and we got the Battle of the Florida.
Yeah.
Right in the East. So we got Florida versus Tampa Bay.
Right. That's kind of funny.
Right, and then we got Carolina versus New York.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with somebody the other day who wasn't familiar very much with hockey, and they said, "Well, who should I root for in the game, in the playoffs?" And I said, "You need to do Florida because
good Florida.
They're kind of Philly South."
Well, with the number of players, look, I saw some people that put some lists out with people that are playing on other teams that used to be Flyers. And I'd have to agree, you can't count Rod Brindamore because he hasn't played in the last 5 or 10 years. However, you would have to actually count him as an ex-Flyer who then went down there and played in Carolina and won a cup down there.
I was talking about Panthers.
Yeah. Right? So Florida Panthers being Philadelphia-esque.
Yes.
With multiple players. Bob used to play for, I think Bob was drafted by Philadelphia.
I believe so.
Yeah. And Robert Haig was also drafted by Philadelphia, and he's now part of Florida that they got from the Toronto trade. And then, of course, Drew, their second-line right winger.
Who's doing very well.
Who had multiple goals, multiple points in the series.
I feel like he's getting a chance to be the player that he's wanted to be. Is that
He's
wrong?
getting a chance to be the actual player that he truly is. The only thing is that he's not necessarily playing his natural position of center. But with his limited size of 5'11", him playing the right wing has extended his career, has given him the capability of being an all-star at right wing as well as center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he's capable of being that second-line right winger and can take those face-offs in any circumstance and win them. Because Giroux is like a face-off master.
Yeah.
Right, over 50% for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Right, so I would consider that to be a face-off master.
Yeah.
Okay, when you got 50% in the dot, over 50% in the dot for the year, okay, he's the guy I want taking face-offs. You know what I mean? I don't care where you are. He's the guy I want there taking face-offs. And if he isn't the guy in there taking face-offs, I want him to be the next guy in line in case something happens and the guy that's there gets tossed.
Okay.
Right? So he plays right wing. Hey, the guy gets tossed. Whoop, Drew slots right in to take the face-off.
Right.
What do you know? It works out pretty nice. Radco Goudas, also another former Philadelphia Flyer who's moved around a little bit since he's been with Philadelphia, but has found a really nice home there in Florida and has blossomed into quite the hard-checking defenseman.
Yes.
Who can occasionally throw a goal in here and there. I mean...
He's still got the beard, though.
I've still got the beard, and that's not going to ever go away. Like when his kid was born... His kid had a full head of hair and it was all black like his. No, I mean, I'm not kidding. Right? They showed pictures of when his first child was born, when, him and his wife were still here in Philadelphia, and his first baby girl was born, and she had a big old thick full head of black hair. It was like, hey, all right. Don't have to worry about hair in that family. I mean, when you got a beard that comes down to about mid-chest,
I know.
The guy's got the beard thing going, right? But Tampa Bay has the talent, and they weren't even completely all the way clicking against Washington. Like, their offense wasn't even near what it was.
You said Tampa Bay, you meant Florida.
Florida, yeah. Florida's offense wasn't near what it was during the regular season. And they're going to need it come against Tampa Bay because Vasilevsky is one of the best goaltenders in the league. He's Vezina Trophy winning, multiple cup winning goaltender. Now, this has not been one of his most stellar years. Like, he's not in the Vezina conversation for this year.
Right.
But so...
Yeah. If he's doing his job...
I mean, he's won one.
Yep.
He's got 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, look. If you're in a shootout, or you're coming down the ice, and it's you and the goaltender, there is a list of goaltenders that you would really not want to see.
Right.
Right? Okay. Like Dominik Hasek is one of those goaltenders. Patrick Waugh. One of those goaltenders. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bernie Perrant. One of them goaltenders. You don't want to come down seeing...
Martin Brodeur
is one of them goaltenders. You don't want to be... And Vasilevsky's another one. You're probably not going to score.
Right.
He's probably going to make the save, Because he's got that patience. He has that experience. And he's going to wait out you more than you're going to wait out him.
Right.
And you're going to run out of room, and he's not.
Right. He's got nowhere to go.
All he can do is just back into his net. So, I mean, what? You're going to eventually skate out of room. So, that's going to be the difference there in that series, too, I believe, is for sure goaltending in that. Because now you got two multiple Vezina trophy winning goaltenders facing off against each other with Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky.
Wow. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Right? And Bob hasn't, I mean, now, Bob has had a smashing year where he's got 39 wins. But his goals against is way up and his save percentage is way down. So, I mean, yeah, he's got the wins. But, like, if you look at those games against Washington, and if you look at most of the games throughout the year that Florida played, yeah, they were scoring 4.16 goals a game, but their goals against was, almost 3.
So you had to score those
goals.
Yeah,
to win, right? Because the goaltender was leaving in almost 3.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I have moving on all day long. My cup final will be, as far as I'm concerned, Florida against Colorado.
I think there's a good chance of that. I really do. Because I'm not assuming. My guess is that Colorado will beat St. Louis. And then whoever comes out of the Battle of Alberta. Mm-hmm. They'll be able to take them. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry to the...
Yeah. The where I kind of think we're going to run into some bumps is Florida. If Florida can get past Tampa Bay, then I think they can get past Carolina.
See, but then I have a soft spot for Carolina, so...
Oh, I do too, trust me.
Because who plays for Carolina?
Nito Ryder.
That's a great hockey name.
Like, that's
I'm sorry.
I mean, look, we went to the Flyers game. We went to 2 Flyers games this past year. So that we could see Ovechkin and Nietzsche and Stahl and Nino Niederreiter and the Carolina Hurricanes, because we obviously weren't there to see the team that they were playing.
What game they won? We were 1-1 this year.
Yeah, we did win that Washington game. Yeah, that's true. The Flyers did win that Washington game, but Washington was already kind of there, and it was like it didn't really matter, and so. But anyway.
If you don't stop complaining about the Flyers, Gritty's going to come and whack you upside the head.
Look, I have already earned multiple Gritty whacks upside the head for everything that I've said this year, but until I see some real, honest-to-goodness change in the Philadelphia Flyers, then I'm going to keep saying them.
I know, I'm just teasing.
And the sad thing is that I'm not the only one.
If Gritty did come to smack you ahead, I would get a picture with him. I don't care how much he hurt you.
He would probably come and smack me up on the head because I'm saying stuff, like live and on a microphone. Because Gritty can't talk, all he can do is squeak. But I would say, well, Gritty, 1 squeak for yes and two squeaks for no. All
right, we got off on a Gritty tangent.
Okay, sorry. That's all right. But we like Gritty, and he's all good.
He's the one really good thing about the Flyers.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Whoever came up with that committee, boy, I hope they're getting well paid. That's all I got to say. I know some people that know who the person is and has met them. Mm-hmm. Like the Gritty.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, all right, that's cool. I said, don't ruin it for me. Right, because I like the mystery of the Gritty.
The Gritty is the Gritty. There is no...
They're right. There's just Gritty. Okay, so, all right.
So you want to... Now that we've talked about hockey to death... No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm sorry,
because, look, this is the best time of the year as far as I'm concerned, if you're a... Look, I get it with football and all that, and Super Bowl and fall and all that. Okay, I understand that. But to me, this is like second Christmas. Because you get second season of hockey where you get the next, month and a half, 2 months of hockey games where everybody starts off at 0-0, and it's win or go home, and you get the best of 7 games to try it.
Yeah.
Right? And the most drama, the most backbreaking, the most emotions, because the games will play until somebody wins.
Right.
There's no shootouts. There's no, quote unquote, 3-on-3.
Right.
Nope. You get 20 minutes, line them up, do it again. And whoever's the first to score wins.
Right.
Right? What? I am such a huge fan of that. I would really like to see some of the other things go away, but, that's the NHL for you, and that's probably never going to happen, so I won't even go down that road. So, like I said, best time of the year as a hockey fan. Not only that, but look, you got NBA playoffs. You had March Madness was just a month, 2 months ago. Right? Seriously, so spring.
Right.
Like, spring is kind of like, all right, we had the NFL draft. We're going to have the NHL draft is going to be coming up here in, another month and a half or so, whatever, right? You're going to have the start of football mini camps or mandatory mini camps and OTAs and all that stuff, and then training camps start at the end of July.
I know.
Right? So, before you know it,
football's here.
Football's going to be here.
Yeah, well.
That's a pretty good segue. What do you think?
I don't know if I want to talk about football because I might be...
Are you ready for some football? Are you ready for some football? Are you ready for some football?
Sure.
Yeah, no, you're not really, no.
Because I have very bad feelings about this year, but I could be wrong. I could be completely off base, and they could have a great year.
Okay, so... We're talking about the NFL draft that was a mere 2 weeks ago. Now, well, no, actually, we're a little bit more than that now.
It's probably like 3 because it was the end of April.
2.5 weeks.
All right, we'll give you that.
Right, 2.5 weeks. It's the 17th. Okay, 2.5 weeks. We'll just say 3 as far as TP math. Anyway.
Not TP, TG.
Yeah, TG. I'm sorry. TG math. Yes. 3 weeks. All right. Pittsburgh was afforded a first-round draft pick this year in the 20th spot. And in the 20th spot of the first round of the draft, it was announced that the Pittsburgh Steelers selected from Pittsburgh University, Kenny Pickett. Quarterback.
Yes. And tell us how you really feel about that.
The kid is got accuracy. He's a spit shorter than Ben at 6'3". Weighs about the same. Not quite that same gunslinger type mentality. Has a little bit of mobility. Not like it's going to be, Lamar Jackson back there by any stretch. Or, Kyler Murray or anything like that. But has a pretty good arm. Can make all the throws. Watch the guy make the throws.
Okay, well, I haven't
Hold
seen...
on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to finish off with my thing. He's got a very high football IQ.
Okay.
Okay. This year alone at Pittsburgh, he had over 15 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards.
Okay.
Okay, and his touchdown to interception ratio is very low.
That's always good.
Right, that's very good, right? So that is my baseline on number 1 draft pick, 20th overall, Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. Quarterback, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Thank you, Lauren.
Now, to answer your question.
I haven't asked a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I forgot what a question I was going to ask.
Okay.
Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
We agree, that the problem with Mason Rudolph is that he thinks too much when he's trying to play. That he's going through all of the routes and everything in his head. And
or something.
And he just can't make that quick judgment and just go with it. He can.
He can only do it for that first hot read, and then after that, it falls apart for him.
Okay, so is Kenny Pickett going to be similar to that, or different?
All right, so how can I put it to you like this? With the Steelers drafting Kenny Pickett, that pretty much spelled the end of Mason Rudolph.
Okay.
Because,
well, we never knew that Mason was not going to be a starting
because Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You don't think they're going to start with Pickett?
He's going to get a shot, and they're going to have 3 arms. Right? And Mason Rudolph is going to be that practice squad guy again. And he's going to be that, that's what's going to happen to Mason Rudolph.
Okay.
Because I think Kenny Pickett is a far better talent than Mason Rudolph is. And I've only seen a handful of Kenny Pickett play. And I've seen more than enough of Mason Rudolph play.
No, Mason Rudolph has helped us out. He has won games for us. He hasn't, but he's
seen more than enough of Mason Rudolph.
I'm just trying to give him some credit. He did. I mean, not everyone gets to be an NFL quarterback, even if you are a backup. That's pretty lofty.
A backup NFL quarterback is still a $3, $5, $6 million a year job. Yeah. Hey, man, what? I can strap on a new leg for that. Anyway. Okay, so thoughts on Kenny Pickett. And Mason Rudolph and the quarterback room for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starting quarterback. He's got better mobility than Kenny Pickett. He's got a thicker frame, more lower center of gravity. And I think that Trubisky is going to match better with the Matt Canada offense. A little bit better than any of the other quarterbacks that are currently on the roster. Okay. But yeah, I believe with the drafting of Kenny Pickett spelled the end of Mason Rudolph, because not only did they draft a quarterback in the first round, but in the 7th round they drafted another quarterback.
I don't understand why they did that.
See, here's why they did that, and I am in complete and utter agreement with you on this. And this whole draft for the Steelers all the way through stinks from the top down. And the reason why it's got a layer of stench about it is because they've come right out and said that this is going to be Kevin Colbert's last draft, and that as soon as the draft is over, they're going to look for the next general manager.
Why would you let him do that?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you bring in the new regime to pick the new guys?
That just doesn't make sense, because now you've got the leftovers from the last guy, and the new guy is going to want to mold his own team.
And he ain't going to be stuck.
And now you're going to put him a year behind, whereas if you could have...
buddy!
Anyway,
see, because that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
we can't do that, because that makes sense, right? So that's why them drafting Kenny Pickett as the number 1 quarterback taken off the board in the first round, 20th overall, was a huge mistake as far as I'm concerned. I don't feel that this year is the year for quarterbacks. Now, the next 2 years in the draft is more going to be a quarterback-rich So maybe they can
trade or
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe Mitch Trubisky will be what they need.
Maybe the second round they could pick up a guy that they could use that could help the team. And in the second round, they went out and drafted for the second round, 52nd pick overall. The Steelers selected wide receiver from the national champion Georgia Bulldogs with George Pickens.
Maybe it was the P names they liked this year.
6'3", 200 pounds. He only played in 4 games last year because he had an ankle injury.
Oh, okay.
The 4 games that he did play, okay. Yeah, pretty good player. I mean, he's got good body control. He fights for the ball. He needs coaching to run more routes.
Okay.
If you don't want to be a one-trick pony, you better learn more routes.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to be a one-trick pony.
And you're not going to be useful, and you're not going to be on a team.
And that's kind of how that's going to work, right? He has the speed. He has the hands. He has that want to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got that tude.
Okay.
But can he be coached up? And can he be a productive receiver that can, go over the middle and make those tough catches and hold on to the ball and make some yak?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can he be that player? 6'3", 200 pounds. Okay, we'll find out. In the third round, the Steelers have another chance to pick a player that they could use that could help the team.
And they picked?
For the 84th pick, the Steelers picked defensive end from Texas A&M, DeMarvin Leal. 6'4", 290 pounds. From Texas A&M.
Okay.
So, most defensive ends, you kind of want them to be more than 300 pounds?
Okay.
Oh, gosh, who can I start with? Jason Gilden, Levon Kirkland, Worley. Players that the Steelers pick at defensive end / edge rusher / inside linebacker /
They're using him in different positions.
He's going to be that transition player. They always draft a player that was a defensive end and try to make him a linebacker or whatever. Because he's 290 pounds.
Right.
So, and he's 6'4", so we'll see. He had 23 tackles for loss and 13 sacks last year. I mean, the guy's got a motor. He's got a motor, and he will play on a line and might be some inside linebacker, maybe, I think.
Okay.
He might be that Jason Gilden, he's going to be that Jason Gilden, Chad Brown, Levon Kirkland, who started college as an end because he was the biggest guy.
Gotcha.
Right? So, hey, he's 290 pounds, make him an end.
Put him over there.
Yeah, right. Well, ends need to be big guys because who do they go up against? The big linemen.
Right.
Right, the big offensive linemen. Well, most of the linemen now these days are 300 or more.
Right.
So you need defensive linemen that are 300-ish, to be successful.
Just giant
burly men smacking into each other.
I feel so bad for him.
But that's
gotta hurt.
But that's where you win.
I know. I get it.
Okay, well, so you got a match for match. So I think that's going to be the Steelers' experiment this year is going to be DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M. So the Steelers were afforded, multiple round picks this year. And for the 4th round, the Steelers had another chance to draft a player that could help the team out.
Right. And they picked.
And for the 4th round, the Steelers selected another wide receiver for the 138th pick in Calvin Austin, the 3rd from Memphis. Yeah. Okay. So, the line on Calvin Austin, the 3rd from Memphis, he's 5'9", but He's pretty thick. Catches everything near him. And hey, he returns kicks!
Does he, actually return the kick or just catch it and
No,
get tackled?
Like he catches it and then runs.
Ah, he doesn't run to the other team and fall down in front of them?
No, he actually tries to run to the end zone of the other, to score. North and south.
Or, here's my other question.
And you know what else? Wait, hold on. Dude is 5'9" and built like a telephone pole, man. Dude's completely ripped. And all I ever did was, all his tape, he catches everything around him.
Really?
His hand just goes, boop, catch, boop. He kind of reminds me of somebody.
Well, let's hope he doesn't get hit in the head.
Who was taken in the 4th round. Who was taken in the 4th round? Wide receiver. Not quite from Memphis, but anyway. He does kind of remind me, though, of...
AB.
Yeah, he does. He got that body style. Okay? And he almost has that knack for getting open and getting to where the ball is to where he can catch it. As long as the quarterback can get him the ball.
Right, accurately.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Key phrase.
Wait, I still have another question.
All right, go ahead.
About the return.
Yes.
If the ball is going into the end zone, is he going to just let it go in the end zone instead of trying to return it on the 2-yard line?
Yes.
And putting the Steelers on the 3-yard line?
Yes, you gotta understand when you gotta let that ball hit the turf there and take it at the 20.
Right.
You're free at the 20. It's free at the 20. And okay, so the Steelers were not necessarily afforded a 5th round pick due to some trades and things that they made over the offseason. So there was no 4th round or no 5th round pick for the Steelers. So with that being said, in the 6th round, the Pittsburgh Steelers were afforded another opportunity to improve the team. And in the 6th round, with the 208th overall pick, this time they picked
Cam's brother,
Connor Hayward.
Yes.
Tight end / running back from Michigan State.
I still think they should have gotten J.J. Watt and just finished the set, but, they would have a full house.
Okay.
They'd have Watt over Hayward.
So here's the line on Connor Hayward. That's right, folks. That's Cam Hayward's way younger brother, which is a 3rd set of brothers now with Edmonds brothers and Watt brothers, Derek and TJ, and now Hayward brothers, Cam and Connor. And the line on Mr. Connor, running back / tight end from Michigan State, he was used more as a tight end in Michigan State. Slightly smaller than Big Brother, but he was good H-back skills. And if the Steelers use that formation, they will have 2 brothers to choose from now. Because last year, they picked up Derek Watt and paid him $3 million a year and said, yes, we're going to have more fullback formations. And I think he touched the ball 6 times, maybe? Maybe? Right? Okay? I don't even think he touched the ball 6 times. So now they drafted another guy who is the same, to do the same job. We've got... Correct me if I'm wrong, Gentry, really good tight end, Zach Gentry. Another kid that we picked up, Freiermuth, oh man, pretty good tight end. Eric Ebron, man, pretty free agent.
Yeah, he did really well last year,
and that's 3 tight ends. But what do we need a 4th one for?
Because it's Cam Hayward's brother.
And an H-back. Well, we got one that we're not even using. All right. So that leaves 2 7th-round draft picks for the Steelers to select, and their final pick was another quarterback.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Right? And he was, Chris Oladokun. I can't even say his last name.
I apologize. We need to look that up.
Oladokun. 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 Chris Oladokun. From
really
South Dakota State.
And
we're sorry if we pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, dude. Really. He was the 7th pick. The final round. I mean, he was like almost. He was virtually Mr. Irrelevant. Well, I mean, the last pick in the draft is usually called Mr. Irrelevant,
yeah.
Right? So he was like a couple of steps away from that. But at any rate, and with their first 7th-round selection, the Pittsburgh Steelers have an opportunity to select somebody who could help the team, and they select Mark Robinson, linebacker from Ole Miss.
Where he played linebacker?
And a little bit of running back. And
how do you feel about him?
And well, he didn't play until late in college, and I think he's a junior even too. So he doesn't have a lot of playing experience at all. Period. He came to the game late in life.
Okay.
I think he played some high school and then came into college, or I don't know what the the full situation is on him. Not the biggest of guys, not this. I mean, yeah, he's got some speed. He's got, okay. So Steelers picked quarterback Kenny Pickett first round. They picked Georgia wide receiver George Pickens. Then they picked another. They picked defensive end DeMarvin Leal. Then they picked another wide receiver Calvin Austin from Memphis. Then they picked the brother of Cam Hayward, Connor Hayward, tight end running back. Then they selected Mark Robinson, linebacker, and then Chris Oladokun from South Dakota State as their final 7th-round selection.
So what would be your overall grade?
D-.
You think so?
And I'm being very, very kind because
I think they've got some potential.
I think that there might be a player or two out of this draft that could maybe be on the team in the next 2-3 years. We'll see.
Okay. But I still think there's some potential there. I think there... We'll have to see. Like I said, I'm not looking forward to this season. So...
There were a few players that the Pittsburgh Steelers had every opportunity to select, and they utterly did not select.
Well, they have a history for that. So.
Those players. And those players that they don't select usually go on to have really... Anyway. So... my issue with why I gave them such a very low grade in the draft this year is because they did not draft for any other reason than to pick players. Like, none of these players makes any sense to me at all. None of these players seems like it puts anything back into the fold for them. Like, it doesn't give them more depth. It doesn't give them more... we need an offensive line. We need a defensive line. And I think we needed some defensive backfield. And we had some really great opportunity in the first round to get a really good defensive player that could have come and really helped the team and could have been an impact player because we're missing Tuitt. We're missing,
We lost a couple of guys last year.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And we're thin.
We lost my favorite.
I know, but anyway, so...
Very sad about that.
I understand the George Pickens pick. I get it, but I would much rather have Alabama players than Georgia players.
Well, Georgia beat them.
Yeah, but I'd much rather have Alabama players than Georgia players.
All right.
Okay.
Hey,
because Alabama has a more
They have more of a history.
But they prepare their players more to play in the NFL than any program going right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd much rather have an Alabama player than... So, the reason for this draft being such a low grade for me is that they, like I said, I don't feel they drafted for a need that they should have. They need somebody who can anchor that offensive line, and I believe there were at least one or two guys in the draft that could have done that, and they had the opportunity to pick him. That Tyler Lindbaum guy from, Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah. He was there. He would have been a great center for the Pittsburgh Steelers for years to come. And nope. We're picking Kenny Pickett, quarterback.
It seems like they, for a couple of the picks, it seemed more like they were picking for sentimentality than talent.
Connor Hayward. Like, where did this cat come from? Like, he wasn't on anybody's radar or anybody's board for any position for anything. He wasn't on anybody's mock draft for nothing.
And he came out of nowhere.
Like I said, I don't get it. I don't get why the Steelers allowed Colbert to make the selections this year. That, to me, was a mistake. I don't understand why they picked these players that they did. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. None whatsoever.
So, let's give Steel a few seconds to take some deep breaths, picture a nice calm stream, some trickling waters.
So, the best news I've heard coming out of the Flyers recently was Mike Yeo is no longer the coach of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, we didn't expect him to stay.
The worst news I heard coming out of the Philadelphia Flyers is that Sam Moran is no longer going to be playing for the Flyers, and he's going to be hanging it up. So, I know it's old news, but it's a real shame to see that happen. And I had to get off the Steelers because they just, I don't understand.
We got it.
Please, Mike, help me understand what you're doing. Can you? Please? I'm trying, man. I'm trying hard.
Okay. Speaking of coaches, who would you like to see be the new coach of the Flyers?
That's not going to happen. That would be a waste of a conversation.
Okay, I said no. Who do you want? And then I'm going to ask you, who do you think it will be?
Well, I would like to see Chris Knobloch come in, but that's not going to happen, so that's...
Okay, so
cool.
Who do you think it will be? We know who... We've talked about it.
Yeah. I've come out and said it, too, on the Hockey Writers, Inc. show with Lance Green, the great writer extraordinaire. Then it's going to probably be Rick Tocchet. And it's going to be this big, open arms and hug everybody, and we're all going to dance around the fire and sing Kumbaya, and, oh, welcome back, Rick, and, oh, man, the savior of the Flyers, and blah, 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 blah.
And then in 18 months, they'll be firing him.
Oh, no, it's going to be less than that. Now, this is going to probably change now because obviously Barry Trotz has been fired. DeBure has been fired now from
See, here's my
Las
thing.
Vegas.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so you have these hockey coaches that are fired from a team because they're not doing very well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every other team that needs a coach is like, oh, I'll take him. Is the talent pool that shallow that there really isn't enough people?
You mean coaching-wise?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Look at it more like this. It's easier to fire one guy than 23.
That's true.
Right? I mean, look, you can't fire all 23 Flyers. You probably could.
You probably could.
No, but you get what I'm saying.
Right.
It's easier to fire one guy than it is to fire 23 guys.
Okay. So
So
sometimes they just fire the coach to kind of shake things up and...
Sometimes.
Okay.
Like when Paul Maurice stepped away, he stepped away on his own. He was like, man, it's not working anymore. My message isn't flying anymore. And he stepped away. Now that takes a real man to admit that and then carry through with that. So if he were to say potentially be the coach, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I don't got a problem with that. It might be Jim Montgomery too. I've been hearing that name. I believe he used to coach in Dallas. And he had a little problem there in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're talking about.
And then he was relieved of duties there because of what he was doing, not because of necessarily how bad the team was playing and or whatever the case. That I would look, I get it. You everybody deserves a second chance. And sometimes even third, fourth, fifth chances, I get it. You forgive your brother 7 times 7. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? I just don't think he's going to be the guy for the Flyers. But hey, what?
So that's who they'll definitely hire.
So now, here's something that you got to think of it like this too. Now, this Chuck's job is on the line. Well, so he's better hire somebody that's going to come in and either A, clean house and kick butt.
Right.
And chew bubble gum. And be all out of bubble gum, right? You know what I mean? By the way, for those of you who don't get that reference, it's called We Live.
No, They Live.
They Live. It's a movie starring Roddy Piper. If you haven't seen it, check that out.
It's from early mid-'80s.
It's a cult favorite. Come on.
It was so really weird.
It was a really weird movie.
It was good, though.
But the concept
yeah.
of what goes behind the movie is what really just messes with you. Anyway. So, yeah. I just don't feel that... Here's what I think is going to end up happening. I think... Well, what happens in December in Philadelphia, usually?
We start winning?
No.
Oh. No,
usually coaches and general managers and stuff get fired.
Oh.
Because that's about the 20-game mark.
Well, what I've seen the last couple of years, we start out good. We go into a slump around December, January. We start picking up again. And then about March, we hit that slump again. Just enough to keep us out of the playoffs.
It's been really hard because we had the bubble season where it was stopped for 114 days. Then they had to make up a couple of games so they could get final seeding for playoffs and everything. And then they put everybody in a bubble and went to the playoffs. And then they came back for a shortened season. They only played 56 games.
Right. I mean, it's been a little wacky, so...
Right. So... the thing of it is this. Philadelphia, before the bubble, was one of the best teams in the NHL.
Didn't they have like a 16-win streak or something?
9,
yeah.
Right? And they were scoring, 9-game win streak and, had scored like 10 or 11, 12 games in a row. They had scored points and stuff, yeah. One of the hottest teams going in hockey. And then the shutdown hit. And then the bubble. And when the team came back from the bubble, they were a shell of their former selves. Because during the playoffs, Philadelphia's leaders like Giroux, Konechny, and Couturier weren't scoring, weren't putting pucks in the net, and they barely squeaked, and I mean squeaked, by Montreal. And then the Islanders just said, "Oh yeah, sorry."
Well,
we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Here's my thought. Okay, so we had a regular season last year, right? So this will be like the second regular season, so maybe they'll get into that stride again. Maybe we can have some hope that now that we've had a regular season, we had the schedule of, this is when we play and this is when we don't play, and it's not, because the other thing with that condensed season was they're playing like 5 games a week. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And it didn't give people time to like recover.
Or practice or anything
practice.
else.
So now that they've had that, year to kind of readjust to normality, hopefully, we don't have to do that again. Maybe they'll...
That ain't gonna matter.
Okay. I was trying to find the half full.
Okay, the half full for the Flyers is this. You need to come out and admit that you need to suck for the next couple years.
You need to admit that you're doing badly. Don't keep saying, oh, we're going to do better and we're just going to make a couple changes and we're going to be great, because that's not going to work.
Because I'm here to tell you, you're more than 1 or 2 steps away.
Right.
Way more. Okay? And you're going to be approaching this off season like a big, giant, steaming pile. Because that's what it's going to be. Okay? The management did not address the issues of this last 2 off seasons with the contract situations and the cap situation and the players that have been signed and or re-signed and or either on the ice or not on the ice. So if Philadelphia, it doesn't matter who the coach is. I don't care who the coach is at this point. I don't even care. Because it ain't going to matter come this time next year. It ain't going to matter. Because there's no... Even if Couturier comes back 100% fully healthy, and even if Ryan Ellis comes back 100% fully healthy, cool, great. Now what? You have no money to do nothing, right? You're going to need a backup goaltender because Jones is out after this year, right? You've got these sick contracts still in your book, JVR, Kevin Hayes, that are blocking.
Yeah.
Okay, seriously, from keeping you from doing things that you need to do. Okay? And you sign these people to these dumb contracts. Smack! Ristolainen, 5 years. Almost $5 million. What are you doing? I don't get it. I have no confidence in the administration of the current Flyers team right now. I have no confidence in the ownership of this team right now in being able to do anything remotely good for this team. And the sad part about it is that they're going to get a chance to do it for another off season. Which means they're going to set the team back even more. So, here's how you could have fixed it. You could have, when you fired AV... You could have had Mike O slot in as your interim coach and then hired a coach. Hey, what do you know? And then brought that guy in to
start getting the team
to evaluate and look at and see what you got and start instilling systems and blah, 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 blah. But no, they decided to have a lame duck coach in Mike Yo. Okay. That was a waste.
Yeah.
That was a waste. Mike Yo's not back. He's going to be probably retained in some kind of way, shape, or form is what I've been reading.
Like an assistant coach, maybe?
No, see, here's what I think is going to end up happening. I think they're probably going to fire LePerriere and put Mike Yo as the coach of the Phantoms.
Okay.
Which, all right. That's got to be an improvement.
So, let's go from the ice to the hot tarmac and talk about Formula One for a minute.
Ooh, boy.
Because it's been an interesting year, I think.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. Listen, if your heart doesn't get racing for open-wheeled racing, then let us help convince you.
Especially now that there's 2 U.S. races.
There was. Well, there was one.
Well, one and then one further.
One further down the road.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this year, or this past weekend, was the inaugural Miami Grand Prix. And there were a lot of good things and some not so good things came out of it. for the most part.
I mean, Ferrari's doing the best they've done in a long time, I think, this year.
So, kudos to Mr. Leclerc, Charles. Winning 2 of the last 5 races.
There you go.
I mean, that's all right. Ferrari leading the constructors.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, they've had multiple. They had the 1-1-2 finish, and then they've had multiple 2-3 finishes, where they finished second and third, right? And that's how they finished in Miami. Was 2-3. The winner by a little bit was Verstappen.
Right.
He's won 3 races now.
You know who hasn't won any races this year?
And you know who we haven't talked about or said one word about? LH.
Haven't even had to mention him. No,
and we're not gonna.
I don't want it to seem like we're happy about his lack of success, because we're not. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, we are.
Everybody should have the chance to be successful. But he's had his chance. Let somebody else have a chance.
I mean, it's about frickin' bloody time. Okay, it's kind of akin to the Ferrari days when, don't you ever get bored when one person and one team just continually wins over and over all the time? And if it's Ferrari, no, got no problems with that. I can watch that all day long. What? The red team wins again? Oh, I get to hear the Italian national anthem again at the end of the race? Yeah, I'm cool with that. Right? I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm. Right? And if that happens for 5, 6, 7 years in a row, I'm cool with that too. Unfortunately, Ferrari doesn't have a Michael Schumacher anymore. But they do have a Charles Leclerc and a Carlos Sainz. I'm going to tell you something. I think this is the most dynamic team in racing right now.
Okay.
I like that better than the Giovanni and Bottas from Alfa Romeo.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that better. Or I like the Leclerc and Carlos Sainz team up better.
Yeah. So what's the next?
And Perez has been a good teammate for Verstappen. Checo's had some good races. The last 2 years he's done really, ever since he's come to Red Bull, man, he's done a lot better. Mm-hmm. And you can see the talent now finally. It's funny when you see a driver who's really talented and really good, and when they finally get into that car
that works with them.
And it's like, hey, all right, oh, wow, those guys are really pretty freaking good. Yeah, hey, what do you know? I mean, that's why there is only 22 of them in the world.
Right.
Gonna say this, though, Haas team has been making strides ever since the utter disappointment of last year. They have changed the team around now, and they brought back Kevin Magnussen.
Oh, that's funny.
And yeah, and Michael's son.
Yes.
Mick Schumacher. It has been. We know the talent.
I think we're starting to see it a little bit more.
Look, the fact that he's able to almost be in the points, or I think he was in the point. I think he was in 10th in the Miami Grand Prix. The fact that he's able to get that Haas car to where he's been able to do, I mean, that shows some talent. Okay, the fact that you're able to take a back end team like that to get to, I mean, that's kind of what Alonso has always been known for. I mean, he's driven for Renault the first part of his career, and that's where he won his first two world championships with Renault. You know what I mean? And because he didn't have the best car, but
he had the best driver.
We're talking about Alonso here. I mean, come on. I mean, I would. Fernando, I think, is one of the best.
Yeah, I think so.
I have to say, I think he's one of the all-time best. He's up there with Kimi. Don't talk to me right now. I know what the frick I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right, all right. I mean, he does. Okay?
Right.
You shut up and let the Iceman drive, and he'll take care of business, you know? He's one of my favorite drivers, is Kimi.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just love the way he drove. He was the only one at the time that would race against Michael.
Okay.
Now, there were other drivers.
Right.
That Michael was,
Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher, where, he's done battle with and whatever. But I always relished the Kimi Räikkönen battles with him and Schumacher, because I always felt that Kimi has the stones.
Yeah.
There's no other ways to say it. Because Schumacher is German, and when Germans are focused, they're, laser focused.
Right.
And that's how Michael Schumacher was. When he got in that car, man, they'd be like, "Hey, Michael, we need 5 laps of this time." And he'd be like, "All right.
Let's go."
And there they were. He'd tick them off, 5 laps, exactly the time you need. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the focus that he had in the car. And to watch him race against Kimi, and those were some good battles.
Yeah, I bet.
So.
I never
missed.
I saw some of those, but kind of picked the tail end.
Tail end of that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? When he was driving for Petronas, Mercedes Petronas there at the end. But so the next race is going to be the Grand Master race, the all-time hoity-toity, the crown jewel of the racing world.
Is it Monte Carlo?
It is the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. And yes, I said it like Luigi. From Cars. Yes, I'm Luigi. I only follow the Ferraris.
That was like the best line in a movie for you ever.
I know, and the fact that Pit Stop came out with the
little Ferrari wig.
No, he had the Italian flag hair wig, right? That was all like froed out and poofy, and then he had the little flag. Pit Stop. Anyway,
never mind. I won't go to that. But so Monte Carlo,
the crown jewel of racing, the one where this is the one where everybody wants to win this race. And this is going to be very interesting because we're, in the hybrid era, and now that, everything's going the way things have gone with the new rules this year, and the cars are slightly different, the way they're set up and the way they look, and the aerodynamic packages and things of that nature. Tires are slightly different sizes and things that too, so... But I'm looking very forward to the Memorial Day tradition in our house. Has never been the Indianapolis 500.
I know.
It's always been the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. So that's what's going to be happening Memorial Day for us. Will be Monte Carlo next week. So
okay.
There you go. How about that?
Wow.
What do you think? Hey, I'll tell you what. This is the start of season 2.
I know.
So we did quite a few episodes for season 1, kind of cutting our teeth, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we've done a show, and we felt the time was ripe.
Yeah.
This is actually an anniversary special day today.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
Why is it an anniversary?
Because today is the first day that the first episode went out.
Nice. In 2020.
In 2020.
Gotcha.
Right? So how about that?
Yep.
So we're christening the second season 2 years later.
Maybe it won't take 2 years to do another season.
Anyway, so thank you so very much, RoNece, for all the great insight and the great questions.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
You have no idea how happy this makes me. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. Trust me, I am not saying that sarcastically. But we would like to thank you all for checking us out and for tuning in. Please remember to go to all of your podcasting platforms to do the search, type in SteelFlyers, and you'll find us, and you'll be able to listen to the latest and greatest shows. And we'll be out there for you the next time to see you all all the great stuff, all the great games. Remember, second season here, the playoffs, second round of the playoffs for NHL is going on right now. Lots of great stuff coming up too here.
So maybe by next week we'll have some winners of the playoffs to talk about.
Oh, maybe we might be deep in, like, by game. We might be 4 games in by that point.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll still be able to have some good things to talk about as far as that concerned. So, thank you all for checking us out and for watching us. Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.